still have a couple of people waiting to come in. And so I want to thank everybody for joining this. Normally this is done at 7 o'clock in the morning with a good group of volunteers from Team Cornwall, and it's usually -20. It may be almost the coldest morning of the year, but at least everybody's nice and warm and comfortable in their own environments. The way this is going to work today is, if you've ever been on a Zoom call, we do have a chat capability that's off to the side or to the bottom, and you're welcome to, if you see or have a question, use the chat feature to ask that question. We're going to try and deal with the questions at the end of the presentation. Everybody will be muted for this presentation, including Rick Shaver, who is not muted, and I only pick on Rick because he's the first one that showed up into the room. And we do have a number of people and dignitaries that have joined us this morning, not the least of which members of City Council. I know our MP Eric Duncan and our MPP Jim McDonnell are hoping to join us. And obviously members of our townships and SDNG Council, and Akwesasne, of course. So I do want to apologize. I won't be able to acknowledge everybody because I do not have that list of people that are in the room. But I am ably assisted by Kat Rendeck, who will be able to hopefully address any technical issues as we come along. So I don't see anybody else in the waiting room, and it is 9:03, so let's get started. So I'd like to welcome everybody to the 2020 year in review. This is something that Cornwall Economic Development report that we have prepared for 23 years now. And it's always a great way to end the year on a positive note by looking back at all the investments and development activity that's occurred throughout the year. And without any further ado, I'd like to turn it over to Mayor Bernadette Clement, who bring greetings from City Hall.
Hello, everybody. Bonjour. I'd like to start by acknowledging that we are gathering on the traditional territory of the Mohawk people of Akwesasne. So, some of you may remember the last year in review in 2019 at the Galaxy, early in the morning. Some of you may remember that it had been a pretty good year in Cornwall, and everything pointed to 2020 being an absolutely banner year. Then, of course, the pandemic hit and our economy came to a screeching halt. Quelle année? Cette année 2020. Everybody's attention turned to safety and concern for their families and friends, but throughout its history, Cornwall rose to meet that challenge. Our residents took the steps they needed to keep themselves and others safe, and our frontline staff in healthcare and in essential businesses, those amazing people, stepped up to ensure that we had access to much needed services. Our federal and provincial partners created a wide range of supports to meet this unprecedented challenge. Local agencies worked even harder to support those among us who struggled through the wide-ranging impact of this pandemic. And city staff were instrumental in supporting our community in a number of ways, and I thank them for their efforts. Je suis tellement fière des employés de la ville de Cornwall. In Cornwall, small business owners adapted and pivoted, that dreaded word, pivoted, to reconnect with their customers in innovative and safe ways. And individually, we balanced, I hope, stress eating with increased outdoor activity, and our residents and visitors reconnected with the waterfront trail, our parks, and of course, the always beautiful St. Lawrence River. In a year where the only certainty was change, every week, a new change, and where COVID-19 dominated the news, it is important to take a step back and take a closer look at our local economy. As much as there was disruption, there was also investment, development activity, and job growth. In fact, you will soon hear Cornwall's economy recovered quite well after the jolt in March and remains strong. I want to end on a bright note. Like many of you, I drove through the Holiday Sparkle installation the other night, that initiative so helpfully prepared by Kelly Bergeron and a team of volunteers and agencies. I drove home and I saw that so many residents had decorated their homes with special care this year, and I was dazzled. Those sparkling lights of creativity and enterprise brighten our community horizon and inspire us at a time when we have felt overwhelmed. Cornwall can be proud of the way it has responded to the challenges of 2020. And we know that many of those challenges are still before us. So it's important to keep following those safety guidelines. We're in the home stretch, folks. We can't give up now. Nous devons continuer à respecter les règlements pour protéger nos familles, nos foyers, nos entreprises. With all of us putting in our share of commitment, kindness, and optimism, I know that we will come together and come through this even stronger than before. On behalf of City Council, thank you, City Council. On behalf of administration, thank you, administration. I wish everyone a Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, Joyeux Noël, Bonne année. Merci.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Those were, as always, inspiring words. And as I start this presentation, I always start with a thank you and an apology. A thank you to my team at Economic Development, which includes Cornwall Tourism and, of course, the Business Enterprise Center for their hard work in putting this together. What you're about to see is about 120 hours of hard work over the last week or so. And despite all that work and despite all the contributions and submissions from area businesses, we're going to miss some people. And so right away, I apologize for those that we have missed. We've tried to cover everybody off. We have actually a larger presentation than last year, but I'm going to try and get through it in the same amount of time. So you'll have to bear with me if I'm a little bit brief on some of the slides, but we're just going to try and get through them as quickly as possible. But before we start, we have a little surprise for you. So I am going to share my screen and jump to this. And let's see if this actually works. Great. And so now I am going to stop my share and then come back in and see that, because I'm not sure if you saw the presentation. So that video was put together by Jeremy Baxter here in town, a great person who's helped us out with a number of videos. So if you have a chance, swing over to YouTube and watch those videos. And so now we'll just jump right into the presentation and start the slideshow. And I think we're good. So we always start off with an economic overview of what has happened. And our economy remains, the foundations remain extremely strong. Yes, we've seen disruptions. Certain sectors have been significantly impacted by those business disruptions. But we still have the strong foundations, and some of our sectors are clearly succeeding. At the beginning of the year, we were poised for one of the best years ever in tourism. We knew that we had issues with companies growing faster than our workforce was able to supply them with talent. And we don't necessarily see those trends of going away, just some of them have been put on pause. We do have noticed throughout the year that employment conditions remain competitive. Companies are increasing wages. There are still healthy number of jobs available for people in the community. Our vacancy rates in the Cornwall Business Park for industrial space are at an all-time low. They're even lower than they were at this time last year. And as a result of that, or one of the reasons for that, is our building permit values remain consistent year after year. And this year, they're going to once again reach a total of $100 million. So I wanted to start off by acknowledging that we felt the impacts of the pandemic were really first felt locally here in March. Canada and Ontario both declared emergencies. We had, I think, strong leadership at both the federal and provincial level in reacting to that. The true impact from the economy was an immediate halt for much business activity, certainly all travel. and then restrictions were released gradually over weeks and months. The impact continues to be felt most strongly in the small business, restaurant, and tourism sectors. Some of that has been mitigated by an unprecedented level of support, a number of different programs from both the province and the federal government. Locally here, of course, the Eastern Ontario Health Unit led the way in not only determining our response to deal with the pandemic, to keep people safe, to ensure that our business owners and our residents knew what was expected of them, what they could do to mitigate the impact. And Dr. Paul, of course, became a strong communicator in delivering that information. And today, as always, the Eastern Ontario Health Unit will continue to provide detailed updates on a daily basis of what's happening locally. And of course, as we move into the delivery of the vaccine, the health unit is again at the forefront of making sure that the vaccine gets to those who need it the most. The city itself played a role with other community agencies. One of the biggest challenges at the very beginning and continuing to this day is the amount of information that is forced upon everybody. You cannot turn on the TV without hearing something new. And we came together with a number of community agencies to try and deliver the most urgent messages to the residents and to our business community in a number of ways. And of course, city staff continue to do so. City Council earlier in the year approved a small business emergency support loan. That program delivered immediate emergency assistance to over 110 businesses, total amount of over $500,000. And that program was also meant to help them find ways to transition and to deal with the impacts of those business disruptions. Part of the activities city staff undertook is we work with local businesses to welcome back customers by expanding patio areas of city restaurants, reducing or eliminating parking fees at downtown lots, and really trying to make it easier for people in a safe way to get back out and enjoy those merchants and restaurants that they love. We also helped businesses with our business reopening toolkit, where we provided graphics and posters that they could put up in their stores to let their customers know what was going on and what was expected of them. And of course, a guidebook that provided a lot of information, not only on what to do and how to do it with regards to safety plans, but also government support programs. And at one point in the middle of the year, the guidebook or one particular document that outlined government support programs ended up being over 90 pages. So an incredible response from a lot of partners to try and help mitigate this situation. So moving on into our our more traditional economic review, the year started off with Cornwall being selected for our regional immigration pilot. And that's part of the Ontario Immigrant Nominee Program. We were one of 3 communities to do so. And of course, that's a provincial program. MPP Jim McNeil, with the mayor here, announcing that earlier in the year. Intake started in July, but throughout the year, we've received hundreds of inquiries from people looking to settle in Cornwall, many from overseas, many talented, skilled workers, exactly the type of people that our companies want. It's still a federal process, but this pilot program offers a way for us to attract some of those talented newcomers to our area. And of course, if they're here, they need some welcome services. And the Eastern Ontario Training Board established the Newcomer Employment Welcome Services, which with a $1.1 million grant, and that's a new center available throughout the year, open throughout the year in our downtown core. On the French side, a big part of opportunity for Cornwall is to attract Francophone newcomers, and ACFO is a strong community partner, not only in working with our agencies, our immigration agencies, but also in welcoming those newcomers that are settling in the community, especially obviously Francophone newcomers where English may be their second or third language. And so great kudos to that organization for stepping up and providing immediate assistance to those newcomers. And then on the training side, the Eastern Ontario Training Board continues to offer training programs that are helping residents learn new skills to enter into new career sectors. And this year alone, they will have trained 50 graduates, a total of 300 over the last 3 years. And of those graduates, about 75% stay within the job in which they're placed. So it's a great successful program, obviously impacted a little bit by COVID-19, but it's continuing training and skills development support that is needed in the community. The River Institute, one of our institutions that is a positive success every year. They've added new scientists and added new research teams throughout the summer. They continue to do important work, not only in river science, but also taking on applied science projects for other clients. St. Lawrence College, although impacted by COVID, they're down to about 25-30% of students on campus that successfully transitioned to an alternative learning environment, which meant that every student had an opportunity to complete their studies and continue on with their studies. And they announced earlier this year that they'd received approximately $775,000 to fund a mobile trades lab, micro-credential training, and then just last month alone announced a standalone nursing degree was that much closer to fruition. So some great progress from our friends at the college. Community Futures is one of those organizations that a lot of people may not know about, but play an important role in supporting our economy and the businesses within our economy. And the CFPC funds and manages a number of different funding programs, but this year alone have dispersed over $2.2 million to businesses to help with COVID-19 relief. One of their programs, which is currently pretty exciting, is the TIP program, which helps companies adapt and adopt new technologies. The Social Development Council took our annual job fair to the online world, and it did so in a way of launching 27 different videos that profiled both employers and agencies in the community. All of those videos can be found on the Choose Cornwall YouTube channel. So it's a virtual job fair that continues throughout the year and well into the future. The Chamber of Commerce is one of those agencies I alluded to earlier that's played an important role in communicating and supporting the business community. And they welcomed a new director, Greg Petersman, a new assistant in Shannon Tierney, and new offices down at 55 Water Street. But they also launched a new website to help Cornwall residents reconnect with merchants during the pandemic. And that website is shopcornwallarea.ca. And it's a great initiative, and expect more good news from the Chamber in the coming weeks. OPG, Ontario Power Generation, a significant ongoing investment in renovations and upgrades and retrofits to the Saunders Generating Station. They currently have 10 projects underway, and we're going to detail some of those projects in greater detail with the Choose Cornwall article in the next week or so. The Canadian Border Services Agency worked with local partners on Akwesasne to pave the way for a new domestic lane, which expedites border traffic. So now if you're moving from Canada to Canada, you have a faster, easier pathway to going through the port of entry. And so that's a significant improvement, a long-awaited one, and I think a very welcome one for both residents of Akwesasne and Cornwall. The Seaway Valley Community Health Center is one of those frontline agencies that the mayor spoke about that has stepped up and supported our community during the pandemic, as they have throughout their existence. But clearly, this particular health center is aimed at caring for the most vulnerable in our community, and work with the hospital and the health unit and other health partners to deliver much needed services and supports. Of course, the Cornwall Hospital is one of our key agencies when we talk about health in the community, and their assessment center throughout in recent months have completed over 22,000 COVID-19 tests for local residents. That's an incredible number. That's just about half the population of Cornwall or a quarter of the population of ST&G. So it's a significant achievement in a very short period of time from staff and an organization, of course, that have ongoing responsibilities in caring for our community. And I would be remiss if I didn't speak about the service community as being one of those hardest hit during this community during this pandemic. The golf tournaments and other events in the community that are fundraisers that help deliver funds to community service agencies that then support the community. A lot of those events had to be postponed. This is an example on the screen of the United Way working virtually to deliver their event and still raise 30,000. And so it's just a nod to the ingenuity and the importance of our not-for-profit agencies and the need to continue to support them throughout the year. One new agency downtown is the Youth Wellness Hub, which is open to provide counseling and a safe place for local youth to gather and to receive the supports that they need. Investments in a couple of our local schools from our school boards, Spike and Alexander and St. Anne and Riverdale, both received significant investments in renovations. And the city itself launched a new program called Street Level, which is video series featuring the mayor as the host, but welcoming a number of guests from throughout the community, profiling municipal programs and services. And I believe the next edition of that series is out next week. Cornwall Transit has invested in 3 new low-floor handy transit buses, making improvements into their shelters and onboard technology. So ongoing investment in that important service. Brookdale North is a multi-million-dollar investment as an extension of municipal services from Brookdale all the way north to Cornwall Center Road that has paved the way to new development in the area, and we will continue to see new investment. And it's only one example of the significant investment the city makes every year through its capital budget in our road network and municipal services. One of the more notable landmarks that have risen in the community is at the Municipal Works Yards. A new salt shed is quite an impressive building, more environmentally friendly, more efficient, and that's part of an ongoing series of improvements to that municipal facility. Our EMS headquarters in the Cornwall Business Park is in the middle of receiving a new roof. The work being done by Paris de Stefano, and that's just about a $900,000 investment in that facility. Of course, our EMS team is part of those frontline workers delivering those important services in the middle of the pandemic. One respite from the pandemic was a chance to get outdoors and enjoy our waterfront and our river. And Marina 200 opened up just about on time, and new this year are new fuel tanks so that it will be able to continue to support our boating community on the St. Lawrence River. Just downriver a little bit at the Cornwall Harbor, it was announced that we have a new manager for the Portlands project, and both the city and Akwesasne are partners in the redevelopment of that facility in that area of our city, and a new manager is a step forward in making some of those development projects come forward. Speaking about development, of course, zoning plays a big part in determining what development goes where in the city, and the city planning department is currently undertaking a review of the zoning bylaw. That's something that will be introduced to the community in the new year. And we have Mary Joyce Smith, who's our division manager of planning, and Mark Wallow, our general manager of planning, development, and recreation. That team that's reviewing that bylaw includes members of the public and the development community. This is a great, wonderful story. The Beyond 21 Foundation has a new home, a hub on Pitt Street North, and just a wonderful new home for their team and the people and the families that they support. So fantastic news for that organization. Open Hands is another organization supporting people, and they've invested in a new office on just around the corner on Balmoral. So great news for that organization as they increase their activity and involvement in Cornwall. The SDG Historical Society, which of course operates the museum, which is a wonderful shot up here. They are now the custodian of approximately 300,000 negatives from the standard freeholder, even more from private collections. And so that expect good news coming out from the Historical Society with regards to new exhibits and changes at the museum in 2021. Quickly go through some of our residential projects. Of course, it's always important to ensure that we have new housing stock and to accommodate the needs of our people. One of the big economic stories of 2020, of course, is the rise in house pricing and the active real estate market that we're currently in. Southbridge is constructing a new long-term care facility on Nickenneb Drive. It's going to be a 160-bed facility, an investment of $24 million in Cornwall. Falcon Home is ready to begin phase 2 at Balfour Estates, which is just north of the former Cordall's property. Menard Brothers, one of our long-time builders, continues to be active in building new homes in Riverdale North. Alex and John Marco, of course, of JF Marco, putting the finishing touches of new offices on Cumberland, but of course active throughout the community and building new homes. A new landmark on our waterfront is the Bell Tower, part of Bob Pelda's new development down there. And that is going to be a 56-unit new facility opening in September of 2021. And soon to be followed by the Stevens building, which will be adjacent to it, offering 78 additional residential units. And if you take a look along the waterfront, you can see that bell tower from a surprising distance away. So another great new landmark for our waterfront. And just east of there, along the waterfront, Mark McDonald and the Renaissance Land Development Corporation are building new townhomes, condominiums that overlook the St. Lawrence River. And that's $1 million investment and a great addition to Le Village and to the waterfront. Cartwright Realty continues to build out subdivisions throughout the city. East Ridge, of course, is one of their key ones. And this is a great example of a well-designed subdivision that is quickly becoming home to dozens and dozens of families. J.C. Goddard and TriStar Construction opened a new wing to Riverdale Terrace, and that created 37 additional units. And across the street, work is underway on building Sunset Court, which will offer 44 apartments for seniors. Riverfront Retirement Center on Montreal Road in the East End opened in March, and it's a 60-unit retirement complex that, again, takes advantage of wonderful river views. Switching tacks to tourism, Cornwall Tourism, of course, had to transition and adapt as travel came to a screeching halt in March, and people had to reimagine what tourism activity would be. To help support that, they received a $180,000 grant from the Tourism Industry Association of Ontario, and they pivoted really to provide supports and to provide greater profile for local businesses. And but prior to the pandemic, we were fortunate to be host here at the Civic Complex to the 2020 Ontario Curling Championships. And Matt Cam from Cornwall, as part of Team Epping, they won the men's side of the tankard, and Rachel Holman's team from Ottawa won the women's side. That event brought international attention to the city and to our facilities, and greatly supported by the dozens of volunteers from the Cornwall Curling Center. So kudos to that volunteer team and the curling community for helping put that on. And of course, the Shorty Jenkins, although it was postponed, we're looking forward to that coming back next year. Again, prior to the pandemic, the Women in Science convention took place at the OPG Visitor Center, and that took place in February, and it brought a lot of young people, a lot of young ladies to speak about careers in science, technology, and math. And so a great event there. That I think that was the second year that they held that. And of course, although many of our events were postponed, some proceeded in a virtual format, and the AFMO conference did so using the cotton mills as stomping grounds as their base of operations. And the Ontario East Municipal Conference is another conference normally held in Cornwall that went to a virtual format. We didn't quite go virtual in tourism. Of course, we have a wonderful website, but we did have a student, and although our visitor center was closed, we went mobile, and our students traveled up and down the paths and throughout the downtown core, talking to visitors and pointing and providing information they wanted. And of course, we also engaged with a number of stakeholders, merchants, restaurants, and accommodation partners to act as ambassadors and to delivering that visitor information as well. Staycation guide is something that we launched this year as an addition or an update to our normal visitor guide, and it really encouraged people to reconnect with their community, and we saw a lot more people staying around in the region and reconnecting with events and merchants and restaurants. And so the staycation guide we produced 46,000 of those, and Eric Duncan's office was able to deliver those to every household in Cornwall, SDNG, and Akwesasne. And it was a wonderful guide that came together very quickly with the assistance of our friends at the Seaway News. Art Walk is one of the events that took place because it's an outdoor event. And if you had an opportunity to attend the one in the summer, it was well attended, just brought a great sense of vibrancy and community to the downtown core, and of course a celebration of the many excellent artists that make Cornwall and SDNG their home. Speaking about the Arts Center fundraising continues for that facility. I believe it's now, the total raise is over $800,000. Part of those funds will be supported from the Tourism Development Fund, which is a fund that was set up for the proceeds of municipal accommodation tax. The Tourism Development Fund this year funded 17 projects, a total of $120,000 to support local events and tourism projects within the area. One of those events is our fishing tournaments, and we were host to Canadian Pro Bass Fishing as well as another couple of other fishing tournaments. This is a photo of Bob Azumi, a Canadian legend and celebrity fisherman from Canada. And Bob's a good friend of Cornwall, and here he is promoting the St. Lawrence River and our lifestyle. A big story this year in tourism was an increase in outdoor adventure or active tourism. We saw a notable increase of people visiting to take advantage of our waterfront trail, which is one of the best parts of the waterfront trail that connects from the Quebec border to Niagara Falls and around the Great Lakes. Our section is completely off-road, and we had some amazing interactions with tourists who were just floored by the welcome they received and the facilities that we have here. But not just cycling, hiking and other outdoor activities, including boating, all safe activities, and ones that really came to the forefront this summer. And of course, it was a wonderful summer. One of our local residents, Pat Clark, with some help of some friends, have created new trails for mountain bikes and fat bikes in Gainville Park. And of course, Gainville Park is one of our facilities that offer winter recreation activities such as snowshoeing and cross-country skiing. And just around the mountain bike trails, can't get there by bike, but you can get there by car, is the BMX Park. And again, a completely volunteer-run organization, relying on donations, but they've made significant improvements to this world-class facility. welcome cyclists and competitors from throughout the region. And if you've never seen a BMX race, I would encourage you to check it out next summer. It's quite entertaining, and that facility just continues to improve year after year. One of the improvements, a small improvement, but an important one, is recognizing with a lot more people experiencing our waterfront and our waterfront trail, new signs were put up that identified what the next landmark was. If you're going for a run or for a cycle, you would know, for example, if you're at the band shell, that Grace Creek is 6 kilometers away, and you could then appropriately plan your visit and your trek. And as the mayor alluded to, one of the most special, heartwarming events is ongoing right now, and that's Holiday Sparkle at Grace Creek. And this was really an initiative born and driven by Kelly Bergeron, a local person in town, familiar to many. She really brought forward and pushed forward the notion of improving our places and creating experiences for residents and visitors alike. And the Holiday Sparkle came together very, very quickly, completely by volunteers. And if you have not had a chance to see that, I would welcome you or invite you to go to Grace Creek, catch it before it's over. But just an amazing, and this photo says it all, the sense of wonder and awe from the little ones as they attend the Sparkle is just amazing. That's an event that will just get better and better every year. So commercial activity, of course, as part of our pandemic response, we wanted to help local merchants, also including local artisans, and the city brought out 4 sea containers, I think initiative championed by Councillor Todd Bennett and others around the council table, and it proved to be an immediate success. The 4 containers, 3 here just outside Cornwall Square with the assistance of Cornwall Square, 1 down at the marina for bike rentals, and over 100 vendors connected over the summer with local shoppers. And that rose a new relationship between not only residents and local artisans, but local artisans and local merchants. And we're seeing new partnerships between local merchants and artisans to get their art away from not just available at craft fairs, but available year-round at local merchants. And one place that you can connect with those artisans is the Square Marketplace, a new initiative by Cornwall Square to take 2 storefronts and provide that space in a safe way for artisans to display and sell their wares. Also, to support local shopping this year, the Jingle Box program was launched by Cornwall Economic Development, and we had 31 merchants that partnered with us. And as of today, we've had over 320 gift boxes purchased by local residents. And that's a program that is, obviously great success, but it came together in just a few days. So a great example of how the community can come together in partnership when it needs to. Harvest Market out on Vincent Massey Road opened their new garden center, which includes a store and obviously a nursery in the summer months. Just down the road from them, Riverside Chrysler has expanded to the adjacent property, looking to bring in new services, a new service operation into that space. The Hampton Inn is under construction right now. This will be a new 80-room hotel on Vincent Massey. Seaway Hyundai is making improvements both interior and exterior to their facility on Rosemont. The NAV Center earlier in the year opened the Stonehouse Lounge and Restaurant and got a few weekends in before the pandemic hit. The NAV Center has remained closed to the general public since March, but it is open and still active in supporting both the federal government and our military in training operations. And one of those, a great new success story, is the Canadian Forces School of Aerospace Control. They just signed and extended their lease at NAV Center through 2025. And of course, they have people who live and work in this community, and they welcome members of our armed forces from coast to coast to Cornwall to be trained in in a number of aircraft control operations. Love Sushi brings international flair from Japan to Brookdale, and English Pub in Daffodil, the Daffodil Pub in Le Village, bringing fantastic food to people throughout the city. The Spicy Pearl, Caribbean flavors, opened up on First Street and proved immediately popular with local residents. Birchwood is a reimagined dining experience. The Birchwood Cafe moved a few blocks over to Sydney Street and is now known as Birchwood, offering a more intimate dining experience and happy hour. Big Bites opened just this last weekend, offering Montreal-style smoked meat and other great comfort foods from their Montreal Road location. And right beside them, the night sky is a little bit brighter in the East End with a new shell canopy and investment in the gas operations at the Taz convenience store. Cornwall Concrete Products has made an investment in their facility and operations this year. And here downtown, Andre Pommier and Pommier Jewelers expanded their staff and have won a national award. They also do the Pommier Angel every year, and this year sales of the Pommier Angel, all proceeds which go to United Way, are approximately double what they have been in previous years. So another great success story of the community supporting service agencies. The Happy Popcorn Company moved around the corner and doubled their space, and so great, sweet success story for downtown Cornwall. Kids Corner celebrated 35 years. They also launched their e-commerce site, which is a significant achievement for them and a way, an example for other merchants to follow, and as they move to the digital online world to compete with some of our big retailers such as Amazon. Smart Centers invested significantly in their property, welcomed Taco Bell and Kawartha Credit Union. They've also welcomed PetSmart. Winners is expected to move in the first quarter of 2021, and LCBO and Sleep Country will also join those retailers on that site. Big Catch launched a new edition of Perch, so magazines were being launched throughout this year. Chantal Tranche-Patang and her team once again did a great job in profiling life in Cornwall and SDNG and Akwesasne. And Seaway News also launched a new magazine, Christmas at Home, perfectly in time, a shopping guide for local residents. And not only that, of course, they won awards and recognition. Rick Shaver was inducted into the Ontario Community Newspapers Hall of Fame in recognition for his 40 years of service. And more so than ever before, our media partners are important in delivering information to residents. And we're very fortunate that we have some excellent media partners. Standard Freeholder up nominated and won National News Awards for their coverage throughout the year. And Chorus Entertainment also won an award and helped raise $120,000 for at the Chorus Caring Hearts virtual radiothon, of course, virtual this year. And not to TV Cogeco, which is recording this presentation that will be available on Cogeco later. Bill Makinson and their team won an award, a national award for their Mental Health Matters program. Moving back into some more traditional commercial activity, you'll notice that the corner of Pitt and 9th, we have a new Toronto Dominion Bank structure going up that will carry their new branding and their new concept. And we welcomed a new dealership to Cornwall with Cornwall Mitsubishi on Brookdale Avenue. Tim Ming and his son Max are renovating. They purchased Commerce Court, former chamber building at the corner of 2nd and Sydney, and are renovating it, adding elevators, and they will be joined by the offices of BDO in that facility in the new year. Ray Jans have expanded their team and added a new division, a commercial glass division. That's Ray Brunet and Gary Jans, of course, and just closer to downtown, we have Joe's Quality Meats and Prepared Meals, opened up a new butcher shop and full service shop on Pitt Street, and that was supported by our Heart of the City Community Improvement Program with the renovations and tenant fit up. Tony LaClaw is back in town with the Kingsley offering urban chic apparel. Dana Gunn opened up her vintage store on First Street to great success. Immediately had lineups, people waiting to get in to see her finds from years past. Julie Dennis has had great success and expanded their lineup and services at the local Phil, which is up on Pitt Street. The Shiny Bud, talking about stores with lineups, opened to great success in the Village. Their second location is soon to be opened on Pitt Street. And the Weaving Baskets Group is continued to reinvest and revitalize some of our older buildings in town and repurpose them, including creating new hubs for office rentals and working with other partners in town, including Scott Fines of Fines Home Hardware, which are readying plans to move their operation to Vincent Massey with an expansion and new services there. So that's a significant achievement for the Fines family and for Weaving WBT. Mark Conti and his team opened up a 10,000 square foot showroom for Bombardier Recreation Products, Ontario East Power Sports on Rosemont. The Co.Lab is a collective of marketing experts that have banded together to provide services. And you can see the team now and meet with them at their new offices on Pitt Street, joined by a new partner, Spilt Milk Photography, which is immediately adjacent. Engineering for Industry is one of our industrial engineering firms that provide services not only in town but throughout the province and in Canada. And it's a division of Lowe Gravel Associates, and they've added new teams and expanded their operations. And if you've seen the transformation of some of our buildings and properties downtown, chances are it was due to the efforts of Aaron Bell and Rothmar Holdings. They continue to uncover the beauty of our downtown core and renovate it. And here's an example of Love and Lee in the Squire shop. Just absolutely amazing, vibrant downtown cityscapes. One of the buildings that they've renovated is now home to Dr. Paul Dental on Sydney. And Summer Heights golf courses, next year, golfers will have an ability to roll along in brand new golf carts. That's a significant investment. And again, we'll have more details on Choose Cornwall later this week. But congratulations to Rory, Kathy, and Katie on that investment and that ongoing success. And of course, golf was one of those activities that was a safe activity to undertake in the pandemic, and helped by a great summer of weather. They had a fantastic year. Our Cornwall Business Enterprise Center here, led by Candy Pollard and Adam Shibo. So they administered summer company. We had 5 summer students that opened businesses throughout this year, despite the pandemic. And the Starter Company Plus program continues to support entrepreneurs throughout the year. Those numbers are not going down. We have more entrepreneurs looking to start new businesses, and that's supported by the Business Enterprise Center and the Ontario network of business centers throughout the province. And a couple of the key programs I'd just like to highlight is the Digital Main Street program, which provides assistance to local business owners to develop websites and a free Shopify store, amongst other things. And our new Digital Consult program, where the Business Enterprise Center will pay for local experts to provide assistance in either legal or financial or marketing or technology assistance to local businesses. So if you have any questions about those programs, by all means, give Candy a call. And very quickly, but not to mention everybody, we do recognize that we didn't have time or the space to recognize all the small businesses that invested or opened or had success this year. But here are just a few, and I'll just slide through these slides. There's Balance Massage Therapy downtown Cornwall, and Aaron Lee launched a new book, which is available at a couple merchants downtown as well as online. and Simply Wellness, a new spa downtown, and Jenny Lee offering in-home therapeutic services. The timing couldn't be better considering the pandemic, providing a growing clientele in Cornwall and STG with her services. And then Mike's Printing and Apparel won the Win the Space Award offered by the Downtown Business Improvement Association, and he'll be opening a new store downtown, but he's been doing custom t-shirts for a number of years now. And Inhabit Consulting and Design, one of a couple of new design firms that have opened up in town. You saw PTL earlier in the presentation. So we have some really educated, skilled people opening up their own businesses and providing specialized professional services in town. And then finally, the last section of my report, and I appreciate it's been a while or a long time already, and I'll try and get through this as quickly as possible. But obviously, the industrial sector is a key sector in Cornwall, providing a lot of employment for local residents. And here are some of the highlights from 2020. BusyTech has launched a new version of their flagship software. Normally, Peter Galt is part of our year in review presentation. And this year, he's thankful that he was able to take a back seat, but I told him I'd fit him in here some way. And so BusyTech, of course, doing business in 70 countries around the world, and their software is used by many of our businesses that are providing essential services. Bourbon Brewing, another great success story. They've redesigned their processes, which has resulted in a lower water to beer ratio, about half of the industry average, and certainly significantly lower than most craft brewers. That's good news for the environment. They have also partnered with local hops growers to bring a more local product. So ongoing innovation from our friends at Bourbon Brewing. Wolseley has a new facility in the Cornwall Business Park, representing about a $400,000 investment. Seaway Express has added new trucks and expanded their team of drivers as they deliver transportation services throughout Ontario and Western Quebec. And there's Melanie Hemel and representing an investment of about $600,000. Not to be done, of course, Minimax is launching new divisions. They've purchased new trucks, another significant investment from Yves Poirier and the gang at Minimax Express. International Truckload Services, you may have seen their trucks in town. They haven't had a facility to date, but they are in the midst of building on about a 15-acre plus site in the Cornwall Business Park. This will be about a 16,000 square foot new commercial garage and transportation hub for that company, again, as they service clients throughout Eastern Ontario and Western Quebec. On the manufacturing side, Morburn, which was named one of Canada's best managed companies, continue to grow and expand, and they're also one of the companies that stepped forward during the pandemic to donate much needed PPE supplies. So kudos to the team at Morburn for their success. ExploreNet, delivering communication services and support services. One of their support hubs is here in Cornwall. They've continually expanded since they've opened, and we expect that growth to continue in 2021. Ridgewood also expanded this year. They make ready-to-assemble furniture, which helped a lot of people transform their homes into home offices. So they saw growth, which and some really good news coming from Ridgewood with regards to a new arrangement with their workers, and so just all good news from Ridgewood this year. Opsun is another company that is in our business park that has expanded and added to their team. They have a distribution center for their solar panel equipment. They do the racking for the solar panels. And Evotech, which makes industrial paint in Cornwall, they are making renovations or undergoing renovations to their Marlow facility. Neat Freak is a company on Vincent Massey that has the distribution center for their racking systems and home office type of storage solutions. Loblaw and Shoppers Drug Mart, of course, the big news ongoing in the business park is the continuing redevelopment of this facility. It'll be a 900,000 square foot DC. The building is completed. They're now finishing work on their equipment, and they're racking on the inside of the building. Matrix currently operates the facility for Shoppers Drug Mart, a company called Wetron, which will be helping with the operation of the advanced materials handling systems at the Loblaw facility. La Framboise Group, it has expanded their Vincent Massey complex, and if you've ever taken a drive or you've seen the transformation of this site, it absolutely looks phenomenal. A great makeover to this important and very large industrial site. And of course, La Framboise doing operations throughout North America from Cornwall and other locations. Our largest private sector employer continues to add jobs and expand and invest in their 2 distribution centers in Cornwall. And All Email also with expansion plans in the works and have added their workforce. They're welcoming 50 new workers that are going to be newcomers to Cornwall. And so we look forward to welcoming those new residents and helping All Email continue their growth. Fieldless Farms is another one of our food processors. They have an indoor farm. Of course, we know that Smart Greens and ZipGrow, a local-based technology, continues to operate. They were really the forefront. Fieldless Farms is an operation from Ottawa that established in Cornwall to continue to expand in that sector. They signed a deal with Farm Boy, and so you can now buy products that are grown in Cornwall at Farm Boy. And the great news about this sector, and Councillor Eric Bergeron is involved in it, of course, is the ability to communities to become self-sustainable and to not rely on supply chains, which certainly has come to the forefront during the pandemic. So a great new advancement in technologies and in agriculture. Sigma Point is one of those companies that continues to expand and grow year after year. This year, their real story is they're pivoting and they're helping supply parts to help make ventilators that will go and service our hardest hit hospitals. So the frontline workers most in need and caring for our people who are ill. Sigma Point technology made in Cornwall will be helping to do that. Luminicor is a plastic sheet extruder that in the Cornwall Business Park, a very modern and technologically driven operation. They've expanded as due to growth to a second location in the business park. And that's Guy Robichaud and family, a family-owned operation that continues to have great success. We welcomed a new company to Cornwall this year in CMP Advanced Mechanical Solutions. They have a distribution center likely to expand to a light assembly operation in the new year. And that company provides a lot of support for logistics and distribution centers throughout Canada and the US, with specially made in Canada design technological solutions. And then Leclerc Biscuits, one of our newest companies in the business park. They expanded their production, significantly increasing their capacity with the second line. This facility, if you've ever had a chance to explore it, is extremely cutting edge, very modern, very clean, and they're making breakfast bars in Cornwall, feeding people throughout Canada and the US. And I think that just wraps up our company by company list. And I thank everybody for being patient and staying with me in the presentation. And just to wrap up some summary comments, we should not be a surprise to anybody, we expect that public health safety restrictions will remain in place throughout 2021, and obviously hopefully getting released and lifted as time goes on, but don't expect some significant changes immediately in the first 2 quarters of 2021, but we have companies that continue to rise to meet that challenge. One of those opportunities or challenges is the rise of alternative workforce arrangements. We expect that to continue. continue. That creates opportunities for Cornwall to receive new residents, but obviously challenges for commercial landlords and potentially for businesses on how to deal with that. But change, if there's one consistent, will always be change. E-commerce has really gained another stronger footprint in our lives. It's become more pervasive, and this again is creating challenges and opportunities for small independent business owners to get online and to service their customers through an e-commerce platform. We do not expect a slowdown in the continuing demand for workers as our workforce gets a little bit older. We have more people retiring, but simply put, our companies continue to expand and create new jobs, which means we will be welcoming new residents to the community to come in and fill those jobs. And so that creates opportunities for our local builders to build more affordable housing, more apartments, more housing to meet that increasing demand. And as I said at the beginning of the topic, we do not expect our opportunities and potential for tourism to change. And so we see increasing opportunities for tourism as restrictions due to the pandemic are lifted throughout the year. And I think I will leave it at that, and I will slowly stop my screen sharing. I want to thank everybody for coming on. On the Choose Cornwall site, we'll have this presentation available for download. It will also be available on TV Cogeco. And at this time, I think if anybody's still willing to stick around, then we can handle any questions and answers that maybe, I know I said 45 minutes. I think I was slightly over that. It's just after 10 o'clock. But we went through an awful lot of information. So if Kat, I don't know if anybody has raised their hand or asked for questions, but I'm going to turn to Kat and see if she has anything for me.
Hi, Bob. We have not received any questions in the chat box, but we might want to leave it for a minute to see if anyone wants to ask questions now. A lot of fantastic and supportive comments in the chat box, though. So I do encourage people to read through a lot of well wishes for the holidays and the new year.
Yeah, and I just noticed, because I don't know if everybody's seen this popping up from every once in a while, comments. I can't stress again, I know I mentioned it, but I didn't get a chance to mention all of our local media partners, from the radio stations to print media to online media. We have Cornwall News Watch, Cornwall Local, we have the Seeker, but I would encourage everybody to continue to connect with their local media, to share information and to support it where possible, those media sources with advertising. That is one sector certainly that has been impacted, but they play a vital role in delivering information to our community. And again, a reiteration of the need to continue to support our service agencies and our nonprofit agencies that are supporting the most vulnerable and most needy in our community. Everything from our food kitchens to victim support services and onward, the great agencies supported by United Way. Those are all agencies worthy of our increasing attention and support. Great, and
we have two questions.
Two questions, wonderful.
Coming in from Kelly Bergeron. She wants to know, she says she may have missed it, but what's going up behind Motel 8 on Brookdale Avenue?
What's going up behind Motel 8 on Brookdale?
Mm-hmm.
That's a good question. I don't have information that I can share about that, but my team will get on that. So if you're talking about the Super 8 Motel up at Brookdale North, there are some development plans for the Brookdale North corridor that aren't completely finalized yet. But part of that is a result of that investment that the city has made in extending municipal services in that corridor. So I think it's important to recognize as we, as a community, invest in our infrastructure, that helps attract investment to the city and creates new jobs and new wealth and prosperity for our residents. And so it's an excellent question, Kelly. And so hopefully we'll be able to track that down. Sometimes we can't release information until it's public knowledge, but that will be a great thing. I noticed a comment from Hugo Rodriguez. There is land that is currently being cleared that will become the new home for Cornwall Honda. That's correct. And as I said before, we expect other developments to happen throughout the area. You may recall that Irving Oil at one time had plans to invest and redevelop their property.
So as a point of clarification, that question actually came in from Karen Bulleris, and Kelly Bergeron's question is, so I apologize, Karen, misread that too quickly. So from Kelly Bergeron, we have a question. Are we planning on continuing placemaking initiatives in 2021? Pop-up patios, the pop-ups, etc.
Well, I think I can't speak for council or other city departments, but I can say that I think the placemaking efforts that we saw this summer and this fall and continuing with Holiday Sparkle have been extremely well received. I think there were excellent partnerships between the municipality agencies and local businesses. I can't imagine why we wouldn't continue to support those businesses that have creative ideas on improving their places and making our city downtown core or urban areas throughout the city more enjoyable and inviting for residents to partake and to get out and you know, I want to use the word trade, but basically do business and reconnect with those merchants. So I think we're going to see more of the same in 2021.
Another question from Allison. Do you have any info on the long-term care facilities expanding due to changes to the number of patients per room going from 4 to 2? This will be a huge need in our area.
Yeah, I don't have an awful lot of information on that, but I can tell you that we're aware of a number of long-term care facilities and retirement residences growing and expanding and renovating in part because of those changes, but also in part because of growing demand. So we expect in 21 that we'll continue to see new investments in that sector. And we're going to see hopefully an increase in the capacity of rooms and beds in Cornwall over the very short term.
We have a question from Jeremy. Any more planned investment in the bicycle master plan?
That's a fantastic question, Jeremy. We are, as you know, Cornwall is a bicycle-friendly community. We've resubmitted an application to let the people who support that activity throughout the province know of the investments that we continue to make. We've added, I think, 4 kilometers of new bike lanes throughout the city. We have plans to continue that work throughout the next short term, which includes 2021, 2022, and beyond, not only expanding bike lane networks, but also improving and enhancing our existing bike trails or our dedicated bike and recreation trails. So the report talked about improvements at Gainesville Park, but we have made improvements in the road system, both in bike lanes and improvements to our waterfront trail.
That's all for questions, Bob.
And that's great. So we're at 10:07. So I think, or 10:10 perhaps. So I want to thank everybody for participating. If you have a chance, let your friends know. We know other people had more than one person in a community or in an office who was watching this presentation. Our numbers are about the same as they were in our normal physical presentation. And of course, you can catch it again on TV Cogeco, as well in a PDF format. The slide presentation will be available on choosecornwall.ca. And over the next few days, we're going to be adding more stories that fleshes out some of these announcements in greater detail. So at this time, on behalf of my team in economic development, I want to thank them again for their help. Thank you all for participating this morning. But most importantly, wish you a safe and happy holiday season. It's going to be different than ever before. It's going to be a little bit challenging to connect with family and friends and to do so in a safe manner. But I hope that everybody's able to do so and that we're able to reconnect where it matters most, and that's family and friends. So so Merry Cornwall, as we say here, and a happy new year. And we look forward to seeing you again in the new year. Cheers.